with easing the pain. This voice inside my head isn't dead, I think it's growing. Soon we will be one and the same. I've been going to the racetrack, spent all my money on the dog in the bed. I put my heart into an 8-track, how about that? My life was perfect, now it's starting to crack, oh no.
Welcome to Parnu and welcome to the E-Batcc BMW Turbo Cup. And this is round 3 of the series as we catch up right at the end of the qualifying session. Edna Ziedas is still, now taking provisional pole position. Taniano's very, very close behind. Svetens as well. It's a very tight grid on a track where gaining lap time is difficult. Again, these short circuits, it's not easy to gain a lap time. Round 3, as we come into the, we come actually past, nope, this is the midpoint of the season. Grantas Kratskas leads the standings with 111 points. 88 for Ziedas is behind, and Kashoni with 81. That is your championship top 3 as we head into round 3. And joining me, as always, is Lorinas.
Yeah, hi everyone, and welcome right to the end of the qualifying session, as Gustas has already mentioned. And what an interesting fight takes place on this track right now. Talianos was leading the qualifying session for most of the time. He even managed to put in a slightly better lap at the end, but it's still not enough. So looks like Ziedas snatches the pole position by just 1/100th of a second, which, well, I think that's going to be the first time for the driver from Lithuania to start from pole position. And we had a nice fight behind these guys as usual. This grid is really tight. And, well, we have Slisans. Well, it looks like he had some issues in this qualifying session. The only driver to be slower more than 2 seconds is 3 seconds overall. And, well, the whole 20 drivers are separated by 1.5 seconds. This is a relatively short circuit, as most of the Baltic tracks are. That's why we really hope for yet another very exciting race. And I think it's a nice time now to try and look at the qualifying session results before we get ready for the start of the first race, which will gonna mark the mid of the season.
So Edna Ziedas on pole position ahead of Talianos. Svetens comes in right behind. Then it's Karatskas, Kashoni, Meškelis, Bielskus, Narbutas, Jofert, Ostlund, Raisin, Straupe, Virshinskas, Butvila, Ulvidaita, Bučinskas, Dimskis, Kaminskas, Sirovatsky, Dautartas, and Slisanis at the back of the grid. 21 cars here out on track. This is probably the best circuit for overtaking that we've had so far this season.
It looks like it is a very good circuit and has a couple of corners where drivers can go for a move, but the history shows that it's quite difficult to make a move because everyone is so equal on the racetrack. It's hard to gain speed over your driver as we start for the first race.
And we're away. This is a very, very difficult run down through turn 1 and into turn 2. That's where the big braking zone is. As the drivers come into the braking zone, Talianos round the outside, trying to take the position on Ziedas, but doesn't manage outside the slower line, at least at the start. Now under pressure from Svetens as they go alongside each other. Karatskas in P4. He might try and do something here into the right-hander.
I don't think it's possible. It's a very fast right-hander, and it already leads to the banking section of the circuit. You should be very brave to try and not even try a move, but complete a move in that part of the section of the track. So Goretzka's bailed out, and I think he's gonna sit there tight and wait for his drivers, for his rivals to maybe put in some action. We have some contacts here. Jofert comes out alive of this situation. We have a Lick Racing Division car sliding in the background. It was Emilio Olvidate who was tagged into the back and was sent off the racetrack. This is Meškelis battling in P8. This is a very, very tightly packed place of the grid as the current leaders try to lose the tail and go into the distance. Jofert up to P7. Remember, Jofert managed to win the second race 2 weeks ago, and looks like he is on a mission to repeat a successful story one more time.
Italianos and Svetens, I think there might have been contact, or at least some sliding between those two. This is giving a chance for Edvin Žadeikis to run away from this pack. He needs to break that slipstream, and I think he's very close to doing it. Now it's a battle for second. Bielsko's a little bit further away, so it's Italiano, Svetens, Karatskas. That's your second, third, and fourth. And using that slipstream down the back straight. This long left-hander should be flat in these cars. They don't go up to too high of a speed, even though they have decent enough grip. A little bit wide from Italiano, so at least using all of the road that is available, but looks like he's making some mistakes, just missing the entries to the turns, feeling the pressure from behind. This is good for Žadeikis, who can try and run away again, a little bit wide from Italianos. Svetens can smell the blood, can smell the mistakes. Again, a little bit wider. It just looks like Italiano's not getting the lines perfectly, but still staying ahead. Žadeikis' fastest lap by far, by 0.3 of a second. Huge difference.
Yeah, he had the chance to have the track for him own for a couple of corners, and he definitely nailed that situation, and he's currently out in front. If the drivers behind him will continue their battle, and Talianos will be missing those apexes, the drivers will fall behind. Talianos was the fastest driver in the pre-qualifying session. Edvin Žadeikis was only fourth, so Talianos was faster than Svetens and Kaščioni. But during this race, looks like Edvin Žadeikis finally managed to get that rhythm. He knows this track very well, not only from the virtual races, but also from the real races, and he kind of was always successful here and managed to snatch a couple of wins. Looks like he is here to maybe try and repeat that once more, though Talianos is not kind of falling too far behind. Svetens, he's backed off out of the active attacks. He understands that if he will make issues for the driver ahead, both of them will fail to gain on Edvin Žadeikis, and this time it looks like it actually works. Talianos should be faster during this lap than the current race leader, so the battle for the win is still not over. Yep, he was faster, but only by 0.08 of a second. That's how equally matched the drivers are here on this very short circuit, and this basically creates some issues for the drivers to make those moves. Very equally paced grid around the Porsche Ring racetrack. It's very similar to what we see in the real races. You can be very fast, but you always have this huge competition, so you have to be precise around the track in every corner if you want to gain positions or don't want to lose any. And looks like the drivers, they prepared for this race quite well. This is Rome Racing trying to chase down Dainius Butvila and has Straupe for company. A battle for the virtual pole position for the second race, which Raisin currently owns. But it looks like he has at least a small pace advantage against Butvila, and Straupe wants to get them both. Someone's off the racetrack in the background. That's Kashoni versus Vershinskas, a contact between the drivers, and it looks like Kashoni struggles here. He was pretty fast in the pre-qualifying session, but I think he was not able to put in a fast lap during the qualifying session. Remember, track limits count during the qualifying sessions, and you can be as fast as you want, but and exit too wide on this last corner and your lap time will be invalidated.
I think something happened to Kashoni, because Kashoni started in 5th.
Oh yeah, that's...
So something happened to him at some point that we missed, but putting pressure on the drivers ahead. He needs to get forward. He's got 10 kilos of ballast on his BMW. But still, looking difficult for him at the moment. He needs to get forward, get that pole position.
I think we missed some sort of an action here on... on the front of the pack. Svetins is already 1.5 seconds behind Talianos, so Talianos has been released into the distance to try and chase down Edvin Žadeikis, and with 13 minutes on the clock, Žadeikis' win is still not guaranteed, because, well, Talianos looks to be on fire during these 2 last rounds. He was the fastest driver 2 weeks ago on Nemuno Ziedas in Bikernieki racetrack in Latvia, and he wants to be the fastest driver here also. He didn't manage to win the pole position, but remember, he lost only by 100th of a second, though Edvin Žadeikis is still putting the fastest lap time. Look at the gaps between the 2 leaders, only by 700ths of a second, so any tiniest mistake like outbraking into turn 1 can bring you lots of trouble during your next corners, and all the drivers try to stick to the racetrack and at least hit those brake marks to avoid any possible moves from behind. Koretskas having the heaviest car on the grid, still doing a very decent job. He has a healthy amount of points in leading this championship. Remember, every race counts. Edvin Žadeikis had issues in the second race 2 weeks ago in Bikernieki racetrack, so lost a healthy amount of points. But he managed to escape the heavier car for this round, so Koretskas carries 25 additional kilograms on his Turbo Cup BMW car, while Jofer has 15 on them, of them on his car, because he won the previous round overall. Kashoni has 10, and Edvin Žadeikis and Svetins, they have only 5 kilos. Talianos has a car which has no kilograms, so he can enjoy the lightweight car for his own. But Koretskas with those 25 kilograms, he still looks strong, and he only proves he's leading the championship not by accident.
Yep, has to play it smart, obviously running with that big ballast from the start of the season. Has to look out for his heavy car, but still scoring good points. This is still that battle for 10.
Oh, and Straupe was able to get ahead of Raisin. It looks like he'll be managed to cover off this move. That's gonna be tight into the right-hander. Straupe has the inside, so Raisin smartly backs out. Well, he brakes slightly earlier. These both are the drivers who have experience driving on this real track. Raisin, a driver of the 325 Cup class, so he knows this track in and out. And Straupe, well, he raced for another cup here, I believe the 1.6 class or so with front-wheel driven cars. And, well, he does well also driving these virtual BMWs. As Kashoni is still having issues with Vershinska, side by side, a slight contact between the drivers, but it looks like this time Kashoni will have the edge. He owns the inside corner. The inside line for the corner, but wow, nice driving by Vershinskas. Both drivers were able to stick to that corner, and finally Kashoni has been released into P12. He needs to gain on Reisen and Straupe if he wants some chance in the second race. He's also strong in the battle for the overall win in this championship. Currently third in the standings, 7 points behind Žadeikis and 30 points behind Kareckas. He needs those points, and well, it would make him the life much easier if he would manage to start the second race from pole position. He needs to focus now and try and gain on Reisen, who is battling with Straupe. By the way, Straupe now again back in the lead of Reisen in P10, which might transfer into pole position. The gap between the leaders is starting to decrease. Well, it looks like it's starting to decrease. Edvin Žadeikis was only 0.05 of a second slower on the previous lap time, but the gap is definitely much smaller now between Talianos and Žadeikis. Only half of a tenth, a half of a second, and only 0.05 of a second difference between the previous lap times. Let's look at these laps of these drivers. Yep, so 1/10 lost for Edvin Žadeikis, and both drivers are currently successfully pulling away from Svetins and Kareckas. I wonder if Kareckas has still something in his mind. He stays close to the BMW driven by Svetins, the Roda Racing teamed livery car. He might get his chance a little bit later into this first race, and in the second one he'll start ahead of both the current leaders if he'll finishes behind, so he'll have his chance then. Usually Kareckas is very strong during the second races. He manages to overtake the drivers, takes a little bit of risk, but looks like he manages to calculate the risk very precisely, and well, usually he is gaining places. So this is Meškelis versus Jofert. Wow, Meškelis was trying to get the inside line into the next corner. Both of the drivers touched slightly. Jofert managed to stay on the racetrack. I think Meškelis, he kind of is bailing out slightly. Maybe he's not happy about that contact. He definitely was not willing to turn Jofert around, and looks like now he's kind of unsure if he needs to make that attack. Nice try, but he lost the traction on his rear end of the BMW. Has a very compromised entry into the final corner. Both drivers a little bit out of shape here, trying to gain or defend positions, compromising the lines. These should be very slow laps. Look, what 1 minute 28 versus 1 minute 28.
Big move, but misses out. Horribly outbraked himself, did Meškelis, super late on the brakes. I couldn't believe that worked, but obviously it didn't, because he just ran himself off the road. But yeah, very, very deep braking there, and luckily stays on track.
Yeah, I think he just went for the move. Well, he felt that he has the advantage now. He runs a little bit wide out of that banking that will not help him to go down the straight. And he loses a little bit more time here in that battle with Jofert, and Butwell already 1.2 seconds behind these drivers, so more of battles like these, and both of the drivers risk to lose their positions because the drivers coming from behind, they're always hungry, and as soon as they smell the chance to gain at least one spot, they come and they waste no time. They understand that the drivers who are battling each other, they kind of get distracted slightly, lose those ideal lines, and that's when the best moment to make those moves comes, as Talianos gets always closer and closer to the back end of Edvin Žadeikis. Actually, Edvin has lost 2/10 on this previous lap time. Oh, sliding on the exit when the driver goes on power. This is a very tricky exit of the Porsche Ring racetrack. The first corner, it seems that it never ends. You break down so much, and then you keep turning and turning and turning the car around. And if you are a little bit impatient with your right foot, you will always lose the traction. And since Talianos is so close to the back end of Edvin Žadeikis cars, it makes no wonder that he lost that end. Maybe he lost a little bit of time and a chance, but he's still so close. Edvin Žadeikis fought to go defensive for one brief moment, but he understood that Talianos will still stay behind him, running wide on the exit. This is the chance for Talianos. Still no move. Edvinas went for that defensive line, and he will have to repeat it again because he compromised his exit while running a little bit tight into the corner, and again he and slightly outbraked himself. Not sure if he lost traction here or was there a contact.
I think that looked like contact from behind. But that's what racing in these cars is. Sometimes lost a little bit of time with that one for sure. But cars, it does look like they have to wait to. They have to wait for something to happen or someone to make a mistake to actually have a chance at a move. I think Karatska's behind, but still just that little bit not enough. And while we were expecting this track to be good at overtaking, it proves to be quite difficult.
Yeah, those mid-speed corners. Well, we have only one low-speed corner where the best chance to overtake comes, the first corner of the Porsche Ring racetrack, but you have to be very close to your rival, and most likely you will be forced to choose the outside line, which is not the perfect one to overtake because it's quite easy to defend the inside line unless you mess up pretty badly and kind of miss the opportunity to cover up the inside. Otherwise, these mid-speed corners, they kind of work in favor of the leading driver, and it's not the hardest track to make those defensive moves, as we've seen one lap before between Talianos and Žadeikis. And they continue to follow each other. This time, Talianos behind Edvinas by 0.05 of a second, as Karetska still continues to almost push Svetin's ride into the rear bumper of Talianos. Both of the drivers hoping for the leaders to pull in some more battles, more intensive battles, as I think Talianos again laid on the brakes, ran almost into the back end of Edvin Žadeikis' car, and at this stage of the race looks like Talianos has the needed pace advantage, so he keeps putting pressure on the shoulders of Edvin Žadeikis, but whoever knows Edvin Žadeikis, I'm pretty sure he's quite calm now and well, doesn't sweat at all. He's just focused on his own race, and he's the calmest guy I ever known. He's definitely sitting relaxed in front his monitors at this moment, not worrying about what Talianos is trying to do here, and we can only see the gap. Sometimes it closes down, sometimes it opens up. It looks like Talianos is slightly better in the first part of this racetrack, where in the second part Edvin Žadeikis manages to kind of pull up back in front again, as looks like we will start the final lap of this race. Yep, there will be not enough time on the clock to start yet another, so we are on the penultimate lap as Žadeikis starts his final try here to try and take the win as Talianos runs wide
again, and I think that's his opportunity for race one over. And only behind, maybe Karatskas can still do something, but I think he's just got a bit too much weight on that thing. Can't really do much. He'll have to focus on race two. What about P10? I think that's safe.
Yeah, but it is safe, definitely.
Straupe might still get Butvila here, but that wouldn't change much. They'd be in second and first on the grid anyway. The two behind, Gashoni, unfortunately, still not enough pace to get forward. This will be a P12, most likely, unless something crazy happens up in front. Up in the lead, that is calm for Žadeikis. Karatskas tried something,
yeah,
but yep, that didn't really work. Yep. And this is going to be your result, top four. Well, not much movement, and Slipstream looks to not be working too well around here. Will be interesting to see how these guys will battle back through the field, but Edvin Žadeikis with a, well, dominant drive, I would say, by BMW Cup standards. takes the win ahead of Talianos, ahead of Svetens, ahead of Karatskas, Bielskus in 5th, 6th for Narbutas, Jofert, Meškelis, Butvila, Straupe will be 10th, then it's Raisin, Kashoni, Berchinskas, Oslund, Buchinskas, Sirovatsky, Dimskas, Kaminskas, Slisans, Ulvidaite, and Dotartas will round out the field. That is your finishing order for race number 1. Race number 2 will start shortly with the top 10 getting reversed. Straupe on pole with Butvila in 2nd, Žadeikis and Talianos from 10th and 9th. Very, very interesting race coming up to see how these guys can battle up the field.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a very interesting race here on this racetrack. We've seen quite a calm first race. We had a couple of contacts, but we've already understood that making moves here on this racetrack is pretty difficult. Look how long Kashoni was stuck behind the slower drivers. He qualified 5th. He finished 12th. He made a couple of moves, but they weren't so easy. So it's really interesting now to see how difficult it's gonna be for the drivers of the top 10 start from the lower positions. So that's definitely gonna be a much action packed second race of the 3rd round. So let's make a short break, and we will be back with hot action from the racetrack shortly.
Gear up for the ride of your life. Shop now.
All my life been looking for it. I think I found something to help with easing the pain. This voice inside my head isn't dead. I think it's growing. Soon we will be one and the same. I've been going to the racetrack. Spent all my money on the dog in the bag. I put my heart into an 8-track. How about that? My life was perfect, now it's starting to crack. Oh no.
Gear up for the ride of your life. Shop now.
All my life been looking for it. I think I found something to help with easing the pain. This voice inside my head isn't dead. I think it's growing. Soon we will be one and the same. I've been going to the racetrack. Spent all my money on the dog in the bag. I put my heart into an 8-track. How about that? My life was perfect, now it's starting to crack. Oh no.
Welcome back to the circuit here at Parnu with our second race of the evening coming up.
Oh yeah,
Should
it
be-
was very nice first race, and it only promises us a very, very interesting second one with Straupe on the first place of the grid. Butvila starting beside him, Meškelis and Jofer behind, the Narbutas and Bielskus, they basically at the same place as where they finished, and Karetskas, Raisin, Svetins, Talianos and Žadeikis only P10.
Here we go. Ready for race 2 of round 3. And we're underway. Looks like a pretty equal from the leaders, maybe a little bit better from Butvill as they run down into turn 1. Important to keep the speed up. We've seen around the outside, it doesn't really work too much. A little bit of contact in the middle there. And that's Italiano's working his way forward. And working his way forward aggressively up to P7 from 9th, gets past Karackas for position as well. Ziedas is battling Svetins as they go into the right-hander. I think he's got that move covered. Gets it done up into 9th. Karackas on the attack on Italianos as well to the inside, but he tried to get it mid-corner. Now, side by side into the fast left. Karackas on the inside. I think he's got the preferred line here.
What about Ziedas coming from behind? Which driver will he follow? Definitely should be Karackas, because he owns the inside line side by side. A slight contacts again between Karackas and Italiano, still side by side. So they are already running side by side for half of the circuit. Oh, and that's 3 wide.
3 wide. Down someone
has bail out. Someone has to bail out here. There's no place for three cars. It's a little bit too tight. Italianos.
Big slide from Italianos. I don't think they touched. This gives a little bit of advantage to Karackas.
Svetins turn around.
Big crash.
Yep, this is a big crash, and I think Svetins and Racing were the 2 drivers who started this mess. And both are off the racetrack. This is Karackas still ahead of Italianos. Italianos braking so late and outbraking himself, releasing Karackas and Ziedas into the distance. He should have a better exit, but now he lost 1 place instead of gaining 1. Well, he actually lost 2 places. He won that place in the first lap against Karackas. He was forced to battle him with him through the course of the whole lap, and now he needs to restart it all over again. Look at Straupe. He is, and is that Meškelis of the racetrack? It is Meškelis on the racetrack. Straupe has an incredible lead here now against the remaining field, and if the drivers will keep struggling like that, look at the gap between Karackas and Meškelis. The driver who went off the racetrack now as Ziedas, he's trying to go around the outside of Karackas. What kind of a move was that? But it looks like Ziedas manages to break in time. He has a lighter car, goes around the outside, and wow, looks like Karackas has no defense against this very fast driving by the race 1 winner. At the moment, Ziedas up in 2P7 as the battle in front is very intense. Look at what tightly packed group of cars these drivers are gaining. This is basically 3 teammates battling each other, stuck behind Jofert. So Sim Studia drivers trying to find a way to get past Jofert, who was unbeatable for Meškelis in the first race. As Butvela continues second, but look at the gap of Straupe, 2 seconds already, and we only are 3rd lap from the start. Yep, this is the 3rd lap, and Straupe is kind of nailing it now.
Yep, running away, and this is not good news for the leaders of race 1. Now, Ziedas looks to have the pace on everybody in front, but we'll see if that is enough to get forward. Big battle as well between Karackas and Italianos behind, as they're still side by side. Big slide from Italianos. Coming back down the inside is Karackas. I think he's gonna get that move completed. And he kind of defends. He was able to defend that position. Look at how fast Italianos is. Vershinska's doing pretty well in this event. He is currently 10th and right on the tail of Italianos. Remember, Cajoni had some issues to overtake Vershinskas, the driver who was very fast in the pre-qualifying session, and he's usually fast in every race. In this one, he's kind of struggling. And Cajoni, where's Cajoni? He's down in P14, so one of the current standing leaders is struggling a lot in this event and losing at this moment a healthy amount of points by the looks of it.
Still some time to regain those positions, as Kareckas now busy with trying to defend against Talianos, while Ziedas, he gained on his teammate by the looks of it, Karolis Meškelis. I wonder what Karolis will do here in this situation. Will he be a team player? It looks like he kind of just went off the racetrack. Maybe he tried to make it not so obvious to try and let his teammate through to collect more valuable championship points. Ziedas lost some points 2 weeks ago, and Meškelis, well, he's struggling here in this event. He looked much stronger in the first 2 rounds. He was always there battling in the top 10s, but always being collected by other drivers. And here looks like he is kind of off pace and now being under pressure by Grantas Kareckas, while Ziedas sets the fastest lap time so far of the second race. So he's on a charge now from the first race leaders to try and kind of make his position better. But look at what's ahead of Ziedas, what's behind of Ziedas. It's still very uncertain who the driver to take this one will be. Well, basically it's Straupe. Well, he's 2 seconds ahead of the remaining field, so no pressure whatsoever. He can just nail those corners on his own, while his main rivals are stuck in these tight battles. And they cannot get out of those, and that slows them down. So I think that's going to be an easy win, a dominant win by Straupe, unless he will think of something during the remaining 13 minutes, as some drivers sometimes do, lose the focus while running on their own. So hopefully Janis Straupe will be able to hold on to that place for the remaining 13 minutes, because he's done brilliant job so far. As we continue to look at this battle between Talianos, Kareckas and Meškelis, with Vershinskas and Oslund behind these drivers. Looks like Meškelis is kind of on the slower part here during this stage of the race, and that's going to be very difficult for him. Ziedas, another fastest lap time, as he runs into the back of Narbutas already, so almost chased down. Oh, Meškelis makes a small mistake, and this is the door wide open for Kareckas. A big thank you goes from one Lithuanian to the other Lithuanian. Meškelis, he's not giving it up.
Yep, I don't think he's got much of a chance here around the outside. I think it's going to be very difficult as Kareckas closes up that door. Now it's a question of what can Talianos do and how quickly can he dispatch of him as well. Maybe might try into the big braking zone at the end of this straight. This is side by side. Jofert v Bielskus.
That's, yeah, Bielskus. So looks like Jofert was in some sort of a battle with Dainus Butler. Oh, someone spun. Isn't that Meškelis? It's again Meškelis. The curse continues. Every race, almost every second race for the driver of Meškelis.
Somehow, maybe contact, because Talianos dropped down to P10.
Yep, so, yep, Talianos and Meškelis, they were very close to each other. And the curse for Meškelis kind of still goes on. He's already desperate. All the contacts that he had before were none of his fault. Oh, Ziedas runs a little bit too tight with Narbutas.
Fixes the situation.
Yeah, this was a small contact. Koshonir sets the fastest lap time so far. This is Ziedas versus Narbutas, and look at Kareckas, has the best seat in town. And, well, this might be a chance opening up for Kareckas. And basically, you know what? Kareckas should be interested in only overtaking Ziedas, because Ziedas is currently second in the championship standings. They both are quite far ahead of the remaining field. So I think what Kareckas would love to do in this race, to try and finish in front of Edvinas, not taking the win. He just needs more points than his main rival, as Edvinas Žadeikis disappears from our views as he tries to take that late dive into the first left-hander again, tries to have a look at it. Nothing for Narbutas here. He's calm on this situation, but these mistakes by Edvinas Žadeikis, well, maybe these are not mistakes. Well, he was just trying to use the speed advantage and overtake his rivals. He made quite a lot of mistakes in those corners while attempting those moves, and both of the drivers lost healthy amount of time. These are gonna be very slow laps for both of the drivers. 1 minute 28.9 for Narbutas, 1 minute 29.2 for Žadeikis, and that's not promising anything good so far for Edvinas to finish in higher places, because the drivers ahead, they're very fast. It's going to be a really difficult task for him to try and overtake the drivers, as we've already seen what happened with Narbutas. He was close, and he was a little bit too close at one point of the circuit. Maybe if not that contact, things would have been different, but this is a solo class in very similar, well, identically powered BMW, so it's everything up to the driver. So to make a move, I don't know, you have to have a little bit of luck and not only skill and talent, because it looks like every driver on this field has enough of skill and talent to do as good as they do at this moment.
Still looking very difficult to overtake, difficult to make moves, and still surprised at how little the slipstream has an effect around here. It helps to stay behind, doesn't really help to make a move. We don't see many moves where drivers get passed down the straight. It's all pretty much braking maneuvers. Straupe, by the way, over 3 seconds up in front at the lead. He's been anonymous, but a good kind of anonymous. A little bit of contact. Good kind of anonymous, as he's just run away from the whole field and checked out. I don't think he's really got competition here. So 6th and 7th for Žadeikis and Kareckas. Talianos down in 10th, Kashoni in 12th.
Yeah, but it's really nice to see these unusual results so far in this championship. A lot of drivers will gain valuable points, including Jofert, with a very solid race in the first race and a very good race in the second one. He's currently 4th in the championship standings. Looks like he's gonna gain valuable points in the battle for the top 3 places, and he should go up at least 1 place in the standings to overtake Kajoni if things end up like this. What about Kajoni? He's up to P12 from P14, so he's back into where he started and, well, continues to struggle there as Žadeikis gains on Narbutas 1 more time. And, well, that's gonna be another race here between the two identically painted livery cars, as Bielskus is now interested in the 2nd place in this race so far. Jofert kind of has a bigger gap now between himself and Bielskus. I think Jofert was trying to get that place from Butvila earlier in this race. That's why he dropped a couple of places, leaving the door open for Bielskus to try and make that move. But Butvila is not an easy competition, a very experienced driver whom we see not that often now these recent days, but looks like this 3rd round of the E-Batcc Championship is kind of taking shape for Dainius Butvila, as he is looking into his first podium finish here in this championship. My oh my, this is one of the most interesting championships I recall. Usually a lot of drama, a lot of action on the racetrack, and most certainly with an unknown outcome. 5 minutes on the clock. what can
5
change.
minutes opportunities still, but again, very much looking like a race run on train tracks. Difficult to make moves, and yep, still very strange to see Ziedas only up to 6th, Karetskas only up to 7th.
Yeah, and Taliano's
Considering that
down to 11th. He just lost a couple.
Well, he's recovering. Oh yeah, he lost a position, right?
Yep.
But I think he might have some damage of that contact, I'm going to guess.
Well, it looks like Buchinskas managed to overtake Ostlund and Talianos during the course of the previous lap. So maybe Talianos was on a move again, and maybe he was unable to avoid further issues while being in the battle. And this is a very difficult track to be in battles, as Bielskos is having a look into the second left-hander. I think there was a small contact between the drivers. What will Bielskos do here in this situation? This was actually the first left-hander. We entered the second left-hander of the racetrack now, as Bielskos is taking that position up into P2. It did look a little bit sketchy, though. I'm not sure if there was a contact, or maybe it was my eye miscalculation, as Butvila was trying to have a look back into the inside. Not enough room, and Bielskos now having the second position for himself. Straupe is out of reach, as we have a big battle here in the background. Karetskas on the outside. Is Ziedas on the inside? No, Ziedas is actually in the middle here. Karetskas now, wow, over the grass and not avoiding contact.
Karetskas going rally cross down at turn 1, still side by side with Ziedas. Remember, 1 and 2 in the championship, these two. Karetskas ahead of Ziedas. So not like this is a battle for nothing. This is a big battle. Narbutas kind of involved in this out of nowhere, and now he's got the two championship leaders breathing down his neck, but holding his own, doing well. And free wide down into turn 1. Luckily, they all survived. I think now will be a chance for Ziedas to make a move. He's getting closer and closer and closer and closer. Narbutas goes to defend to the outside. Ziedas, nope.
This is a very nice battle, and this is actually two drivers from one city and one driver from the other. What a late move by Karetskas. Wow, you should expect a move like this from the championship leader, but Edvin Ziedas is quite calm here in this situation. He knows what position he needs to put his car into, and he's not letting Grantas Karetskas take that outside line. He wants the ideal apex on the final corner to have a nice run down the straight to avoid being attacked by Grantas Karetskas, who looks very aggressive here on these final laps. And I'm pretty sure this is only one mission for Grantas Karetskas, to try and finish ahead of Edvin Ziedas at no matter at what cost, as I think we have a situation up in front that's Butvila attacking Bielskos. Yep, Butvila tries to attack Marius Bielskos, so this is still far from over. The battle for P2, as Jofer is now all over the back of both of these drivers. Dainius Butvila gets the inside line, goes back on power too early. This is a chance for Marius to survive.
Now it's kicking off, but there's a big pack behind that wants to get in on this action as well. If these three start fighting even harder, this might be a chance for the free behind to get closer. Still side by side, free wide. Turns into two wide.
They get closer, and there's gonna be a very hot final lap, because we are approaching the final corners and there is not enough time to start yet another lap.
Smart move from Jofert, beautifully done around the outside. Narbutas already on the attack on Butvila. A little bit of contact.
Oh, Narbutas outsmarted himself. He lost the place to Edvin Ziedas. Karetskas is now all over the back. Goes for the move. There is a slightly bigger contact between Narbutas and Karetskas. Karetskas is really here on pace. So Ziedas up into P5. Bielskos lost a couple of places, and I think there's a contact. Yep, Jofert is off the racetrack, and this is the fault of Marius Bielskos. He braked a little bit too late, clipped the back of Dainius Butvila, and Butvila collected Jofert. Jofert is off the racetrack down in P7. This is a small gift for all the drivers behind us. Karetskas overtakes his hometown rival Narbutas into P5. So both championship leaders kind of receiving some small gifts. And remember, Bielskos caused that first corner incident on that final lap. He is definitely on a risk to receive a penalty, so every driver behind can also be promoted into the higher places. Edvinas Žadeikis is having a look into the inside. That's Vershinskas trying to take a position from Jofert, and I think that's successful. Žadeikis on Bielskos now for P2 into the inside, and both drivers running so close. Bielskos not willing to release Edvinas into the second position, but it looks like it's the job done. Nice driving from both of the drivers. Just small contacts. To my eye, everything was according to the rules.
Trauka gets the win. Žadeikis, well, what a final lap. Final few laps from him. Takes second place, takes the win in the event. This is gonna be mega for his championship. Karatskas in P5. Talianos down in 9th, I believe. Or did he finish in 8th? As everybody takes the flag. Meškelis down at 13th. He was unlucky with that contact. Raisin in 15th. Kashoni 16th only. And this is our race over. Well, another round of the E-Batcc.
Oh, wow! I've never seen a car being on the side of it on the doors, but you can achieve interesting results while having fun after the finish of this race. Wow! So I'm hot and sweating. I'm not sure about the guys of the final lap. It was such an intense battle. And there were some losers, there were some winners. There's definitely gonna be a little bit of work for race control after both of these races. As we usually say, the results are always unofficial because all the incidents have to be looked through by the stewards of this championship, and there might be penalties. We've seen a couple of contacts which are definitely on a risk to receive a couple of seconds to the final results, so that might change, but at the meantime it was a very intense race. So looking at the final results again, Gustas will walk us through. Will you walk us through to the final?
Yep. So, Straupe takes the win. Žadeikis in second, third for Bielskos, Butvila, Karatskas, Narbutas, Jofert, Vishinskas, Talianos, Ostlund. That's your top 10. Then comes Svetins, Buchinskas, Meškelis, Dimskis, Raisin, Kashoni, Kaminskas, Lisans, Ulvidaita, Dautartas, and Sirovatsky in 21st. That is your race result for race 2. Head on over to worldsimseries.com. There you will be able to see the official results once they get confirmed by the stewards in 2 weeks' time. Heading on over to Poland and Tor Poznan for round 4, and we'll finish off the season in the Botniaring, Finland. So stay tuned. Next week on Tuesday, we've got the Porsche Fever event, and the MX-5 finals are coming up on Thursday. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here tonight, and see you next time.
Yep, thanks for sticking with us, and on Tuesday we will hear ourselves again. Have a good night.
Gear up for the ride of your life. Shop now.
All my life been looking for it. I think I found something to help with easing the pain. This voice inside